Have you ever felt like you're present, and yet you're not? The table is set. The voices you love sound close. They're waiting for a gesture, a look, a word, and you, absent, caught on the thin border between real life and the make-believe world spun by technology. The screen glows, flickers, and turns its sparkle into your only priority. How many times have you opened your eyes without truly seeing? How many mornings you swore you'd change ended up the same as always? The same routine, the same habits, the same excuses. That is the territory of unawareness. Eyes open but asleep. A quiet heart, beating at half volume. It breathes, works, speaks, moves, but doesn't inhabit the moment. Today, something different. Amid the noise, a pause. A second of silence that sounds like revelation. It's awareness. Brief, sharp, like a light switched on that cuts down the hallway and knocks straight at your door. In that second, the traveler, which is you, understands. That activity was confused with progress, motion with direction, and learns that the true promise of change isn't in distant months, but in present minutes. The promise is simple. If you become aware today, even for a minute at the right moments, you'll see an immediate shift in your energy, in your relationships, in how you use your time. We'll show you, honestly, what is lost in the darkness of unawareness and what you reclaim by taking the first step toward awareness. Today, you'll learn to return, to inhabit your life with presence, to change the rhythm of the heart and the direction of the day. You'll understand why awareness is a quiet threshold where everything falls into place. Family, body, time, habits, priorities, your gaze. That light isn't a flash, it's the compass, guiding you toward discipline and clarity, not with abstract theories, but with simple, everyday, immediate scenes. You'll see how unawareness accumulates silent debts, and how awareness builds true wealth. We'll look at awareness the way you look at a candle's flame at night, small, fragile, enough to illuminate what matters. You'll learn to tell what you control from what you don't, to set the day in order like clearing a table before you eat, to notice that beauty doesn't shout, it whispers. Awareness will take the lead, not as a floating concept, but as a precise force that rearranges schedules, conversations, food, sleep, attention. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the judgments we hold about them. If judgment can change, so can your day. If attention is trained, the world regains its outline." The traveler feels the sting of the question, how many times did I live without being? From now on, at every transition, you'll say the word awareness. You'll repeat it to remember its weight. If any part of you wants to awaken today, write it in the comments with a short, forceful line. Today, I awaken what's essential in me. Presence, clarity, and truth in every moment. Do it now. Not as a gesture for this video, but as a commitment to yourself. Awareness isn't a mystical state. It's a moral muscle. It wakes, it's trained, it's sustained. And when it wakes, everything follows. Not like magic, but because you're finally available to receive life. The traveler takes the first step, turns off the screen, feels a fleeting emptiness, the silence of what no longer controls you. That emptiness isn't an ending. It's the first jolt of letting go of a toxic habit, a space that doesn't bind, that frees. It is the beginning. Stay. Breathe. Once more. This is where it all begins. How many times have you felt that routine dresses up as stability, and nothing seems to change? You get up, you check your phone, you answer messages that don't matter, you postpone what does, you tell yourself, tomorrow will be different. Night comes, and everything was the same. You lost one more day. No alarms. Just slow wear. Your gaze loses its shine, your back starts to hunch. Your schedule fills with small urgencies that cover the greater one, your unlived life. Living on autopilot is comfortable, and costly. You pay for it with one more hour awake that becomes tomorrow's fatigue, with one more episode that adds nothing and subtracts clarity, with yet another open tab that doesn't fill your life but empties your attention. Your life plays out between awareness and unawareness. Unawareness lulls you to sleep. The body speaks in tiny signs, stares that feel like mountains, breath that runs out at the corner, a stomach that protests after meals that fill, but don't nourish. Unawareness makes pacts with the future as if the future obeyed. Tomorrow I'll start. Next week I'll sleep better. When I have time, I'll go back to the gym. That perfect moment never arrives, not because the world is against you, but because without awareness, time slips like sand through your fingers. Meanwhile, beauty passes by the window, and you don't even stop to look. In unawareness, days repeat, hours burn away in vain, relationships crack until they break, health fades little by little. There are no culprits, not even you. Unawareness brought you here. Awareness can carry you to the future that still fits in your hands today. The traveler looks at their routine and sees hairline cracks that hold everything up. A dinner accompanied by screens instead of glances, a phone taking the place of rest, a fridge open to fill voids that aren't hunger, a hurried greeting replacing a hug. The price isn't paid all at once, it's paid in small pieces of life. The traveler knows that inertia, goals written in January that didn't make it to March. The melancholy of watching others move forward while consoling yourself with tidy lines. It's not the right time. I don't have time. I'm not motivated. And when you look with honesty, you understand. The problem wasn't time. It was attention. Attention, the most valuable currency of awareness. And you gave it away to everything that shines without worth. How many times did you say yes to avoid a conflict, even as you betrayed yourself? How many times did you hide behind a perfect excuse to postpone what's essential? The root sits in those tiny decisions. They don't feel like betrayals, but they are. 5 minutes on your phone before bed turn into a habit that devours hours. And in the end, you realize you lost the one thing that never returns: time. That's where discipline appears, not as a heroic Monday act, but as an everyday practice. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because the cost of not changing doesn't stay with you. It hits others and leaves scars they didn't deserve. Surrendering your decisions is letting go of the reins of your life. Others map out your day. When you don't choose, someone chooses for you. The traveler recognizes themselves in those tiny concessions. They stopped writing because praise never came. They quit training because a friend didn't show. They shelved their dreams because someone mocked them. The cost isn't paid with money, it's paid with life. Night falls, and you can't say where you spent the best of your energy. But you remember the phone buzzing 100 times, and how you obeyed each vibration as if it were a command. The lack of awareness charges interest. It steals clarity to decide, calm to sustain, dignity to say no when you must. You pay with opportunities that don't return, with energy that won't recover, with bonds that cool because you were never fully there. You also pay with that quiet discomfort of someone who knows they could be more, and watches time slip away without bearing fruit. Just as the body accumulates fatigue, the mind accumulates unattended emotions. There's a cluttered room there too, old guilt, dusty resentments, fears sitting in the front row. Every time you pass through, you stumble and blame the floor. In that room, the traveler feels life is throwing objects at them. They don't see it was they who stopped tidying up. The clock doesn't threaten, it reminds. Each day repeated on autopilot is a day that won't return. Awareness. Here is turning on the flashlight and looking straight at the price of not changing. What is your autopilot costing you? That project you keep postponing, that conversation you deserve, that simple habit that would save you from the mess? Maybe it's costing you your calm, maybe your self-respect, maybe the life you say you want. Accepting it stings a little. It's the pain of diagnosis, not defeat. The traveler reaches their daily limit without shouts or tragedy, just facts that can't be denied. The screen reflects in their tired eyes. The back gives another centimeter. You're short of breath on a walk that never used to tire you. A loving gaze waits at the table. And you arrive late. You arrive late, with your mind lost in its own noise. The same old line returns, "I'll start tomorrow," and it rings hollow. In the dark glass you catch your expression, fatigue and clarity. You don't want to go on like this. In the silence that remains, something weighs so much, it can no longer be ignored. Now, a single decision, small, concrete. Presence. Turn off the screen, straighten your back. Breathe, once more. The turning point doesn't arrive with a bang. It comes like a sound that was always there, and suddenly stands out. The steady drip in the sink, becoming impossible to ignore. The mirror returning a gaze without its former shine. In that instant, the traveler understands, nothing out there changes. What changes is inside. It isn't the world that stops, it's the way you look at it. The lens cracks, and as it breaks, it reveals another, simpler, clearer. It bears the mark of something you can't buy, awareness. The traveler feels the pull of two invisible forces, what you don't control and what you do. On one side, the weather, traffic, other people's moods, the economy, what has already happened. On the other, what you think, what you do, the interpretation you choose, the next action, your presence, your attention. The line can't be seen, and yet it decides everything. A boundary separating depletion from freedom. Epictetus returns quietly, like a compass that doesn't shout, "Don't ask events to happen as you wish them to happen as they do, and you'll be at peace." It isn't surrender, it's choosing where to place your energy. The traveler feels the pull. They no longer want to spend strength on what doesn't answer to their hand. They no longer want more of the same. They breathe and grant themselves a tiny, real gesture. They make a time-urgent commitment. Today, not tomorrow. This midday, not someday. Just for today. Discipline, just for today. Priority to what's essential, just for today. Space for the word that matters, and the silence that holds it. That's how a gradual commitment is written, a renewable 24-hour pact. Change doesn't appear as a perfect plan or an inflated, empty promise. It shows up as a brief question that cuts through noise. What among all this depends on me, right now? The question doesn't fix, it clarifies. In that clarity, the turning point is born. The distant idea becomes practice. Practice, a way of living. The traveler makes out two paths. On one, you move forward with what depends on you, your judgments, your actions, your effort, your rest. On the other, your energy drains into what you don't control, luck, weather, the economy, others' opinions, the past. You've spent years giving your strength to the wrong road. You see it without excuses. You don't turn to stone, you don't stop feeling. It hurts, and you understand. Serenity isn't coldness. It's a steady hand that needs no applause to advance, no obstacles to stop. Freedom begins when your steps no longer depend on what isn't in your hands. You're not chasing miracles. You're after presence. A commitment built day by day, starting with a small gesture capable of rewriting the next ones. Not external pressure, internal authority. Not anxiety, ethical urgency. Life happens today, and so does your attention. Awareness isn't some far-off state, it's a habit of mind. The traveler looks around and sees their emotional room full. Today they decide to open a box and empty it. Stored guilt, dusty resentments, an expectation, an excuse, fears sitting in the front row. No one accuses them. They don't accuse themselves. They simply acknowledge they let these things stay. They understand time wasn't the enemy. Waste was. It's not that they had too little. It's that it slipped away unnoticed. They knew it. Today, at last, they see it. From today on, awareness will be your daily teacher. It will show you the exact point where there's no music and no grand gesture. There is a different silence, a silence that doesn't flee. In that silence, the traveler understands. Life won't slow down to wait. More of the same is no longer an option. You can look straight in the eye. You feel the urgency of today, not as anxiety, but as ethics, not as external pressure, but as internal authority. No promises, no announcements. You hold your gaze on the line separating two worlds, and calmly recognize which side you want to stand on. And there you stay, with the new lens adjusted and the old one shattered on the floor, with the drip still falling, with the honest mirror, with a steady pulse. Before you, two open roads, one that wears you down and one that sets you free. There isn't a solution yet, there is clarity, and that clarity, for the first time in a long while, outweighs any excuse. Choose presence, awareness, now. Before you, two open roads, one that wears you down and one that sets you free. Choosing isn't said, it's practiced. You start the day with what's simple and decisive. You wake and give thanks, not for what's missing, but for what already breathes with you. You silently name what's already in your life. You close your eyes. You become aware of your body, your pulse, the air moving in and out. 5 deep inhales, 5 slow exhales. It isn't a solemn rite, it's tuning the instrument. In that minute you notice the mind's hum switching on, and instead of fighting, you observe. The gate opens, and the water of attention runs where you decide, not where you're pushed. The promise is kept in minutes. By getting up with a conscious gesture, the rest of the day lines up 1 degree better. 1 degree adds up. You walk to the kitchen calmly, and instead of surrendering to the first distraction, you give thanks. You drink water as someone receiving a gift, and while you drink, you become aware of the privilege of being alive and having another chance. You make breakfast without perfection, just with the coherence of caring for who you are. Unawareness eats to fill. Awareness nourishes to awaken. And as you chew, you look out the window. The city has a color you hadn't seen in weeks. It isn't gratuitous poetry, it's anchoring. Beauty is here, if there are eyes to see it. At that newly won level of awareness, you choose health, not as an obligation or a load of guilt, but from the same gratitude that accompanied the first sip of water. You don't need abstract promises or heroic plans. A simple step is enough. Go for a 15-minute walk. In that quarter hour, blood circulates, the mind cools, the body gives thanks without words. 15 minutes are enough for thought to unclog, and for a line that never appeared to fall into place. It isn't magic, it's awareness steering your course. That small push sets a direction, and that direction strengthens the discipline of staying, even when the mind wants to run. If you can stay with your pace, you can stay 5 more minutes with your task. Discipline isn't built only at the gym, it's built in life. You return and without ceremony choose water over sugar. The body gets the message. Someone's at the helm here. And as the day opens, the clarity you just gained expands. It's no longer only about caring for the body, but about caring for what sustains life itself. And you understand that the greatest treasure isn't what you achieve, but who awaits you. Loved ones, family, those whose presence is a fragile, fleeting gift, become your most urgent choice. And you feel a lump in your throat as you realize nothing guarantees they'll always be there. So you no longer let them get lost in the fog of habit. You look at them as if each word, each shared silence, could be the last memory. With that certainty in your chest, you set the phone aside and lift your gaze, and in doing so, you discover your people as if seeing them for the first time. Then the minimal things you used to overlook appear. A faint laugh, a new wrinkle, a timid gesture asking for space. You don't interrupt with automatic replies. You choose to stay present, to give them full, undivided attention, as if you knew each shared instant is a treasure that won't return. There the traveler, now returned, understands that what's needed isn't a quick answer, but a full listener. Before, you would have replied with evasions. Today you choose clarity and respect. And in doing so, you discover that the bond with those you love isn't saved by magic, but because someone holds it with resolve, nourishes it with affection, and honors it as if each moment could be the last. That same awareness you apply to the bond you now extend to your day. Later you tidy your desk, not to gain time or flee the task, but to remember that every space holds a purpose. Where you work, you work. Where you rest, you rest. Where you eat, you eat. That external order becomes a mirror. The cleanliness of objects makes way for the cleanliness of mind, and a clear mind makes room for the heart. At nightfall you return to the invisible training. For 10 minutes the world goes quiet. You set aside the old habits that drag you, those automatic routines that steal presence. You simply take 3 breaths, tending to yourself, like someone tuning an instrument before the concert. You silently state tomorrow's intention. No poetry needed, awareness is. Because today you choose one thing and you finish it, and in that small gesture you confirm you still hold the reins of your life. If this message is reaching you, show your support with a like. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. That gesture counts too. And if you want to carry a daily reminder of life's dualities, light and shadow, awareness and unawareness, discipline and indiscipline, self-control and lack thereof, I've created a collection of t-shirts, mugs, and posters with phrases from my work. They're sober pieces, designed to help you hold your center amid the noise. Every purchase supports this project and lets me keep creating. You can find the whole collection at mindsetprime.com, my online store. The link is in the description. And when night comes, gift yourself a gesture. Before bed, you make space in the emotional room. Each night you choose one old item you'll no longer use and take it out. A small grudge, a toxic expectation, an excuse, and remove it. Size doesn't matter. Consistency does. That invisible cleaning is what opens space for the new. And commitment works in your favor when you keep in private what you promised yourself in silence. If yesterday you wrote, "Today I choose to be aware," then today follow through for the version of you who wrote it. It isn't outside pressure, it's internal authority. To sustain it, keep a visible streak counter with a single rule. If you miss a day, and you will, don't punish yourself. Reset without drama, take note, readjust, and return to your path. Awareness doesn't bargain with guilt, it's strengthened by repetition. Because repetition shapes identity. Each micro-challenge completed confirms to your nervous system that you are someone who follows through. You don't recite it, you show it. That loop reinforces your self-esteem not as consolation, but as consequence. Being aware is also designing your environment to help you, not sabotage you. And tomorrow, again, the same rhythm. Question, presence, movement, closure. Repeated, it becomes character. Make one today. And without fanfare, you'll turn these gestures into a ritual that integrates body, mind, and relationship, until the path that frees stops being a moment and starts becoming your way of living. And then something quiet happens. The gaze changes. Beauty returns when awareness returns. Not with fireworks, but with the exact gleam of what's real. The next morning, the traveler notices the light entering sideways through the window, and it wakes them with a non-negotiable truth. They are alive, present, and this unrepeatable instant is all they truly possess. The same house, a different gaze. The difference is felt in the body, calmer breathing, energy moving without forcing it. You can see it in how you treat people, no longer an automatic gesture, but a recognition of their presence, a listening that can sense even the vibration of their mood. The small things, What once seemed banal, reveal their depth. A warm cup between your hands, the texture of light on the wall, a word spoken calmly. You stop living on autopilot. Days, once an identical, monotonous reel, open like living ground. You see more, feel more, and choose with awareness which people, gestures, and moments receive your energy. Being aware isn't rote repetition. It's seeing the thread behind things, giving it coherence, recognizing the essence. When you choose to be here, things arrive in their order, not because the world changes its face, but because you adopt the right posture to receive. The traveler doesn't think themselves superior for having woken a little. They know unawareness lurks, and that presence is chosen every day. That humility protects them. Marcus Aurelius left a compass so you don't lose your way. What isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee. Your presence isn't just a private good, it also transforms those around you. And then you verify the obvious. When you are here, everything arrives. Not because the universe conspires, but because you stop conspiring against yourself. Looking inward doesn't pull you away from life. It ushers you through its front door. Today's message isn't a speech to collect. It's a map to use. If doubts arise, it's natural. Return to the breath and to today's small commitment. You don't need to convince anyone. You need to convince yourself with your actions. The traveler isn't someone else. They're the same, but now they're present. In the inner room, there are gaps where boxes used to be. Air comes into those gaps. And with the air, clarity. Being present doesn't bring everything at once. It leaves space for what should arrive. You've put your inner house in order. It's time to look at the neighborhood. Awareness doesn't end with you. The environment sculpts you as much as you sculpt it. Who surrounds you? Who drains your energy with subtleties? Where do you yield your boundaries for fear of causing discomfort? Which voices do you amplify without meaning to? In the next chapter, we'll carry awareness outward. How to protect your energy in a world that confuses noise with importance. How to set boundaries without hatred. How to recognize ties that dim you and surround yourself with those who ignite your best self. The question that opens the next door is simple and challenging. To whom do you give your attention, and to whom should you stop giving it? Before we finish, here's a question to carry into the next chapter. What small, inevitable, honest habit will you fulfill today to honor what truly depends on you? Anchor your commitment in the comments. I'll be reading. See you in Chapter 2. Becoming aware of who surrounds you. Dark psychology and toxic people who drain your energy.